Hey Rosalians, it's kind of odd that I'm doing the lesson this way because I wish I was in front of you teaching in class, and I know that y'all wish you were in class as well, but we're going to make the best of it, and we're going to go ahead and do the notes via Google Classroom. So if you want to go ahead and go over the notes by yourself because you feel comfortable that way, that is perfectly fine. If you want to follow along with this video, so at least you hear me teach it, and it's extra support for you, by all means log in, join in, listen, fast forward, rewind, pause if needed. This is all on you. Okay, so let me go ahead and get started. So the past couple of weeks we were focusing strictly on the cause of the Civil War. So this is a storyline that we started with 1607 Jamestown. Slowly but surely we become the United States. We are becoming this new union, and we have different factors that are dividing up our country, and this is what leads us here to this point right now. So now that we're done with the cause of the Civil War, we know that there are three main issues within our nation. You have sectionalism, which regions have more loyalty towards their region rather than the Union, which is the whole, the United States. States' rights. States feel like this whole federalism, that principle that's embedded in the Constitution, that the federal government is becoming too powerful and they're not sharing the power which they're supposed to. So states feel like they're being oppressed, or their rights are not being granted, especially when it comes to that third main cause of the Civil War, slavery. So the fact that the economy and the way of life, the culture in the South is derived based on slavery, off the slave labor, they feel like it is their state's rights to have that. So this is another driving force that leads us to the point of no return, which is going to be the Civil War. So this was review. It was to show us to go ahead and match the causes. So the first one, slavery. Again, that is forced labor, specifically in the South, which is on slaves in plantations. States' rights. States felt like it was their rights to own slaves. It was part of their economic system. It was part of their culture. They wanted to go ahead and make sure that they had their own rights. So therefore, that one goes with yellow. Sectionalism, again, whenever you have more loyalty to your region rather than the whole, which is the United States. So that's going to be green. And the last one, secession, which is whenever you withdraw from the Union. So secession, the very first state that did leave or withdraw was South Carolina. So those were all reviews. So we're going to jump into the notes. We know that the final straw that led to the nation dividing was the election of 1860. You had this new political party, the Republican Party, and their new candidate, Abraham Lincoln. He's going to end up winning the presidency. He's going to be elected, but the South is outraged because this Republican Party is built behind the abolition movement, the eliminating slavery and slave labor. So the South, once Abraham is elected, they're infuriated. He did not earn a single vote in the South. For most states, they didn't even put him on the ballot. So this makes the South furious. This is the final straw for the South. And the very first state that's going to go ahead and stand their ground and secede, which means break away, which means leave the Union, is going to be South Carolina. South Carolina has already had issues with the federal government, the nullification crisis, which they were fighting against the protective tariffs. So they're already done. So Abraham Lincoln being elected, that is their final straw. So they decide to secede right after Abraham is elected, and slowly but surely it's a domino effect. South Carolina's the first, they won't be the last. You have all of these other southern states that are going to follow. So this, if I would look at the region, those gray states that are seceding, they're all in the South. And what does the South have in common? Well, what type of economic system do they have? Plantations, slavery. So that is the main driving force that divides our country. So officially, we have the United States of America, which is in blue, that union. But now we have a different part. We have the Confederate States of America, the Confederacy. This divides us basically in half. And you also have those border states there in the middle as well. I apologize. So at the beginning of the Civil War, Lincoln takes slavery away from the southern states. So once he is elected in 1860, does Abraham Lincoln tell the South that they can no longer have slaves? True or false? The answer would be false. Sorry, I have I don't know what's going on with my iPad, but let me go ahead and start. Hopefully I didn't skip that much. Once Lincoln is elected, he has his first inaugural address, which means he is addressing the nation right when he's elected. So he gives the nation his speech, his inaugural address, and his main focus point is to say that he wants to preserve the Union. He does not want to divide up the country. He thinks that it's too important to have these states break away, and he wanted the country to stay united, to stay together. So he tells the South, you know what, this whole thing of slavery, that's not my main driving point. That's not what I'm trying to end. I'd rather us stay together to preserve our nation, and we should stay united. But he also mentioned, you know what, southern states, it's also illegal for you to leave. So all of you states that are looking to secede, that is not permitted. That is not legal. You cannot do so. Once he gives his inaugural speech, the South does not accept it still. They see that there are some Union soldiers in Fort Sumter, which is located in South Carolina. They decide to attack those Union soldiers. This is officially the first battle of the Civil War. And this is what officially starts in 1860, the Civil War. So Fort Sumter, the significance, again, is the very first battle of the Civil War. So remember those dates that we have on my wall? Well, one of them is 1865, and it should be 1861 as well, because this is the Civil War to us. Now, the Civil War, again, you had the South that had this strong belief in their culture, the slavery, states' rights, so they feel like they have the right to preserve their way of life. So therefore, they wanted to keep that. That is the reason why they went to war. Abraham Lincoln saw this as a conflict. He wanted to preserve the Union. He saw that he could not do this unless they go to war, because the South was not going to give in. So the Civil War is officially began. If I would look at the differences between the North and the South, well, population, the North has the advantage. Transportation, we learned about the Industrial Revolution. Most of those factories, those industries are up north, so that causes urbanization. So the South does not pertain to those manufacturing companies. They're still derived basically on plantations. So transportation up top with those railroad systems, those factories, the North has an advantage there. Again, resources, factories, they have more food. Agriculture is more for the South. They derive off of those industries, and they don't have a lot of manufacturing centers, so that is a disadvantage for them as well. Leadership, you're going to have two presidents. The United States has Abraham Lincoln. His main commander is Ulysses S. Grant. He is the commander of the Union forces, versus the South, the Confederacy. Their president is Jefferson Davis. Their commander of the Confederacy is Robert E. Lee. Now, this is an advantage towards the South because they have superior military leadership, and they were good to go as far as the war and as far as training soldiers. So this advantage is towards the South. Again, these are just the important leaders. Abraham Lincoln is the president, and then Ulysses S. Grant is a military leader for the Union. The Confederacy, you have Davis as their president, Robert E. Lee as their military leader, and also the gentleman John Bell Hood is in the Confederacy as well. You have two different strategies that now that Fort Sumter is done, they're going to kick off the war. The North's main thing, They want to destroy the economy. They want to go ahead and blockade to prevent the South from trading. If they have this naval blockade and they're able to control the Mississippi River, which they used for commerce, which they use to trade those items, that would help them out a lot. They would divide the Confederacy in half. The communications line would be done. So that is their strategy going into the Civil War. Now, the Confederacy, they just want to defend their turf. They realize that the Union is advancing towards the South. So the whole point is to just try to wear them down as they fight. Hopefully, they want to go ahead and take over Washington, D.C., which is their federal capital. And they want to go ahead and form foreign alliances. After Fort Sumter, the next main battle that you need to know is the Battle of Antietam, which is significant because you have over 6,000 people that were killed. This is the bloodiest single day of the Civil War. This was a Union win, so this was a big boost, a big morale boost for the Union. The reason why this is important is because after this battle is fought and the Union has won, and this big bloody battle is over, Lincoln's going to go ahead and use this morale, use this victory, and he's going to go ahead and announce the Emancipation Proclamation. This death toll also was great, and he wanted to give more effort for a greater purpose. So yes, a lot of people did perish or did die, but he was going to go ahead and use this as an advantage and go ahead and announce the proclamation. So I'm going to go jump to the next screen. The Emancipation Proclamation, basically Lincoln is going to go ahead and officially free all the slaves. Well, most of them for the most reason. The reason for the proclamation is to make the Civil War about slavery, not just about preserving the Union. So during Lincoln's inaugural address, sorry guys, I got a cough. He wanted to keep the nation together. That was his main standpoint. He was saying that he was not going to go ahead and take away slavery, but after Fort Sumter, after Antietam, it is over. The Emancipation Proclamation, Lincoln says, you know what? Slavery, it's officially over. This is about slaves. We're going to go ahead and free them. By making the war about slavery, this keeps the British from helping the Confederacy. This also persuades African Americans to join the Union Army, which is going to help out the Union as well. So this freed all slaves in the Confederacy, which are the southern states, but it still allowed the border states, which are in the middle, to keep slaves for now. So again, it's kind of still working towards all of the preserving of that. But this is not over. This is just the beginning. So we went ahead and went over the main issues. I wish I was there in front of you so I can go ahead and answer some of these questions as they come up. But hopefully this video solved or answered or clarified some of those main standpoints. If you have any questions, please go ahead and leave me a comment or email me. I'll try to get back to you. But again, please rewind if needed. All right, guys. I miss y'all. Hopefully this helped y'all out. Have a great day. Stay healthy and stay safe.